Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics live on Trust TV, your go-to platform for in-depth analysis on the political landscape in Nigeria. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Welcome on the program. Speculation is rife over a possible alliance between Nigeria's top opposition figures from the 2023 presidential race. Rumors of a merger involving Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, Peter Obi of the Labour Party and Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party have gained traction since last September. Despite talks of a possible merger lingering this week, two of the three leading opposition figures denied claims that an agreement has been reached, with both Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso and Peter Obi saying nothing has been agreed to yet. But the big question remains, can an alliance emerge under the current political climate? And what impact could it have on Nigeria's political future? Now, political alliances are not particularly new to Nigeria's history, dating back to the pre-independence era and the 1959 elections. Tonight on the program, we will examine their historical significance as well as relevance to the current political landscape. Joining us in the studio to shed light on this is Professor Alkasum Abba. He's a renowned political historian and a pioneer vice-chancellor of Adamawa State University, Umuobi. Prof, it's good to have you join us on the program. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much. I am not a pioneer vice-chancellor, actually, of Adamawa State University. I was the third vice-chancellor. The
third vice-chancellor,
yes,
point of correction taken.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, to our viewers, we will be giving you an opportunity to be a part of the conversation. As always, this Friday, the edition allows you to take part in the conversation as you share your thoughts, you weigh in on the conversation, and of course, ask any question regarding our talking point tonight. So, Prof, I suppose it's best we start the conversation looking at where we are today as a country, and I was wondering what you make of the political temperature in the country right now. This week, for instance, we heard from Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, who categorically said rumors or claims of an agreement between him, Atiku Abubakar, and Peter Obi are just that, rumors. There was no agreement whatsoever. And Peter Obi just doubled down 24 hours ago that in fact is not true. However, a lot of people feel like, okay, that might be true, but that is not the complete truth of the situation. What do you make of these developments, especially as the conversation around 2027 continues to gain some momentum?
Okay, yes, let me say that alliances are normal in politics, and especially in Nigerian politics. And the current situation maybe has created conducive environment for alliances. But my worry is that these alliances seem to be hovering around individuals, Kwankwaso, Atiku, and Peter Obi. They are not hovering around political parties. And my worry has always been that political parties are being relegated in this country. And this is one of the challenges that we face. It is the politicians who relegate the political parties because their preoccupation is just to use the parties, climb up, and throw the ladder away. So,
is that uncommon?
Well,
are political parties not necessarily tools for politicians to use?
The political parties are tools, but political parties are supposed to have programs. What is it that you identify with a political party? This is what the party stands for. Now, if you go to UK, you say Labour Party, people will tell you what Labour Party stands for. If you say Conservative Party, they will tell you what this. Even if you come home here, our Second Republic, when they say NPN, you know what NPN stands for, the right wing. PRP stands for the radical wing. Now, this is what is absent in this dispensation. What is just available is the politicians selling themselves. And, you know, the problem you face is that, you know, when you compare this current situation politically with the situation in 2015, which produced APC, you'll find they are a bit different. Because in 2015, you had PDP, which had been in power since 1999. Not only that it had been in power, it was facing rebellion from within the party, and also disagreements as to whether President Jonathan was qualified to contest 2015 election or not, because some of their members said it was the turn of what they call the North. Some of their members said no, he should be able to contest. So there was infighting within the party. And as a result of this, significant number, if you can remember, it started with 12 governors who started rebellion. It subsided, went to 9 governors who rebelled, and they became part of the APC. In
the galvanizing force.
Yes. So, but also another big factor for APC in 2015 was the myth about General Buhari. Because so many people thought that Buhari was the salvation to the people of Nigeria. And it turned out to be wrong. But you see, this perception was important for 2015 to be successful. And now what do you have? You just have 3 individuals, and they were all PDP. No, only one of them is now officially PDP, Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Konkoso was PDP governor. Peter Obi was not PDP governor, but he contested with Atiku as his running mate on the platform of the PDP. So we really have a situation which is fluid now.
Right. So, I mean, you're saying there are no similarities between 2015 and now, even though the conversation seems to be alluding to a repeat of history where we may likely see these 3 key political figures come together, form a political group or merge or whatever the situation is ahead of 2027. But give me your take on how the options before Nigerians remain either President Tinubu or the collective to come together and present a force, and whether this might actually spur them to realize that all of them going at the incumbent alone in 2027 might likely give us a repeat of the results in 2023, right? Yes. Where the president comes out on top. What do you think is playing out in the minds of those in the opposition, for instance?
Well, I think they are hungry for power. And I feel especially the PDP people feel they have been excluded over a long period of time. They want to
Why especially PDP, Prof?
Because they are the most powerful opposition. There is no other serious party other than the PDP in the opposition.
You don't think Labour Party is serious
Labour
enough?
Party is what I call it an arm of the PDP. Because Peter Obi contested on the platform of Labour Party. And then he came back to contest on the platform of PDP. So really, the PDP is the superior opposition party among the opposition parties for now. But let me say one thing. That is that, you see, these parties, if you want to organize a political opposition properly, you have to have a mission. You have to have a vision. What is it that you think this government is doing wrong and that you want to correct? And then, therefore, what you are required to do, come up with your program, sell it, let people have trust in you. The biggest problem we have is that there are not new political figures. What some people will call old wine in new bottles. Because they are not new, they do not, in my opinion, inspire the ordinary people.
Even considering what Peter Obi did with Labour Party in 2023?
What did he do?
I mean, look at the massive support he gained.
No, the problem
outside of the establishment political parties.
The problem with Peter Obi is just tribal politics is playing.
Even with the large base in the north?
Even
among the
what
youths?
Base?
Among the youths, for instance?
Not too much. Not too much. It's largely, and the Igbos are everywhere. They have all voted for Peter Obi. And unless they realize that they need to go beyond tribal politics, there's no way you can produce a president any group can produce a president based on tribal identity in Nigeria. It's not possible because there is no overwhelming tribe in Nigeria. So we need to cut across, make alliances, convince people, which is the most important thing, that you have something to offer. But for now, the PDP has not proved that it has anything to offer different from what is going on. Even when they are criticizing the government, I don't see them coming up with alternative. This is what we are supposed to do.
There's where I want us to go next. What do you make of the quality of the opposition that we've seen so far? We had a conversation about this extensively yesterday, and people feel less than impressed by the counter-arguments of the Peter Obis and the Atiku Abubakar about what the Tinubu administration is doing wrong or how it is managing the current state of affairs. What do you make of the quality of the ideas that they are putting forth as a counter-argument or counter-solution to what the Tinubu administration is doing?
I think the first problem they have is that they float ideas on their individual basis. If you read the newspapers, Atiku said this, Peter Obi said this, Konkoso said this. It's not their platform of their parties. So their parties are not doing anything. They are the ones doing it, talking about it. So it is like a personal thing, not a political opposition, based on the mobilization of your political party. And they need to understand that if you are contesting election, you contest election on the platform of a party. You are not contesting election on your individual self, because our own constitution here, the electoral laws, does not provide for independent candidates. So they need to refocus on the parties, on their parties to do it, instead of just their individual, oh, this what this one said about this government policy, this one what this one said about government policy. I think it doesn't take them anywhere, because if they are members of their political parties, they must use the platform of their parties to float new ideas, not just selling themselves. This is what this is what this one said.
And do you think there is no alignment between the candidate and the political parties in terms of the ideas that they are sharing with the public?
Well, we need to see the parties issue statements, not individuals issuing statements. In these individuals, they were presidential candidates, all of them. So who do we now believe, the party or the candidates? They are not candidates now. So they need to understand that it is the party that matters first.
I asked that question because, case in point, what is happening in the United States, for instance, granted it is quite unprecedented, but you look at what Donald Trump has done with the Republican Party, for instance, right? Whatever Trump says appears to be the position of the Republicans now, because his voice is louder, his voice is the definition of the position of the Republican Party, even though he's been facing a lot of resistance from the political party while he was in power and after he left. But apparently, his party is louder and resonates more with the Republican base over the past 6 years, for instance. Wouldn't you say that that is what the likes of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar are trying to do, that they speak first and then the PDP can then re-echo what they say, or the Labour Party re-echoes what Peter Obi says?
No. You see, you need to understand one thing. The American system is slightly different. But even in that American arrangement, Donald Trump was speaking on behalf of his party because he had members of his party who supported him. And you can see whatever he says, you can go and ask the legislators, they will tell you they agree with him. So I don't want us to begin to say that the individual supersedes the party. There is no arrangement in politics why the individual is supposed to supersede the party. Not even in the American system, which has given the individual greater leeway than the parliamentary system, where there is a lot of party control and so on and so forth. But the real issue, I think that the opposition need to come to understand that they have to offer something. You don't just come and say, okay, this government has done this, you issue a statement. This article has issued a statement, Peter Obi has issued a statement, Konkoso has issued a statement condemning the government. You need to do more than that.
Right. Will it take this question might sound like a forecast of what may happen in 2027, but do you think it will take another APC to defeat the current APC?
No, I am not sure what will happen. In politics, it's a bit too early now. We talk about.
But is that what it's going to take?
I'm coming. Because you need to understand variables that help to make APC and also help to make 2023. You know, even the Tinubu group, they were voting for PDP before 2015. It's very clear they were voting for PDP from the performance of Jonathan in Lagos. But you see, in politics, you make alliances, solid and concrete. But for now, what is it that this trio are offering? Because my argument is that they were all at one point in time members of the PDP. Konkoso was governor in Kano. What is it that he has done extraordinary in Kano? He was governor twice and on the platform of PDP. So, and what is it that he has done? Peter Obi was governor. There was nothing outstanding about his performance. Atiku, unfortunately, was not a governor. So you cannot put him on the same evaluation level with them. But you see, one advantage, which, for example, Tinubu had in 2023 was that he was a governor of Lagos. But in the 8 years that he was governor, whether rightly or wrongly, it has been believed that he did very well in Lagos. He transformed Lagos. So when he stood up to speak, you begin to believe, yes, he could also transform Nigeria. Of course, it is not happening. But in politics, perception is very important. Perception.
Isn't that what we're getting with the obedient movement, for instance? For a first-timer to float, you know, his candidacy on a not so well-established political party like the Labour Party, for instance. I know you minimized it to tribal sentiments and some of that, but it's safe to say that that has made a mark on the political landscape. And looking at the numbers and how narrow a victory President Tinubu won the 2023 elections, what do you think the APC is doing right now, considering the options available to Atiku Abubakar, considering the options available to Rabi Musa Konkoso and Peter Obi, the possibility of an alliance, knowing fully well that these three have worked together in the past before, and there's a very good chance they might work out the differences in before 2027?
In my view, it is not the alliance that will determine 2027. What will determine 2027, in my opinion, is the performance of this government. The biggest challenge facing these people of this country is the economy. Food prices are very expensive. Cost of living is very high, and so on and so forth. Now, the president said he will reduce inflation from 34% to 15%. It would be a miracle. But if he is able to do that, it can have an impact. So, in my opinion, the real issues about 2027 will come mainly on the basis of the economy. You know, I was in my state last week, in Yola. I was shocked that people who are used to be upper middle class, somebody came and told me, I cannot afford to eat meat. And the retired top civil servants, no, they cannot afford. The local people somebody came to ask for money to buy a cup of rice and a small palm oil. They will boil the rice and put palm oil to eat. Now, this has never happened in my life experience. I've never seen this. But that is why I think that what is going to be important is the economy. It's nothing else. And
you don't see the opposition leveraging on that to send a clear message that they are a better alternative?
You see, the opposition has a problem of credibility. The ones that are out, what is it that you believe they do? You see, I told you in 2015, there was the myth about Buhari, especially here in the north. Some people think that the moment they announce Buhari, everything will be solved. And you know that Buhari's government was a big disappointment, heavy one. And so there is no Buhari myth around him, Buhari type of myth around him. The parties are inactive. And it is left to the older generation candidates who are coming up with their statements. Now, which one do you hold? Which one do you believe? And why would you believe them?
Isn't it all about rhetorics? I mean, if it got Buhari the victory in 2015, why don't you think it's going to work for them in 2027?
You see, Buhari had one advantage. He never held office after being thrown out in 1985. And so many people believe that he was good, he was honest, he was this, and he was that. So that gave him credibility. And people believed it. You see, and that's why I said perception is very important. He was perceived as honest, as good, and so on and so forth. But when the reality came, everyone has seen that that perception was wrong. So, do we have another Buhari type in the opposition? They need to raise people, bring people up.
You think we need fresh faces in the opposition, and that would perhaps incentivize voters to look in that direction?
That could help them, not only fresh faces, but also fresh ideas. This country has got a problem. People get elected into office, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle the economy, they don't know how to handle anything. They're just sitting. And you wonder why they contested for election. And this is a serious problem. So you need fresh ideas, fresh people in order to have impact. People who will talk and people will believe them. I don't want to say that, I don't want to dismiss the three, say they are all, they will not win election. That's why I said the most important thing, what will happen, is the economy. The economic policies of this government is the one that will decide what happens in 2027. It will have a lot of impact in taking that decision. And if these three people have been able to come together and come up with ideas, it could have an impact. But it's a bit early in 2025 to talk about 2027 in politics.
Yeah, but knowing what you know about Nigerian politics, right, 2025 is perhaps the year we're going to see some of these alliances begin to take shape. I mean, some of these political parties will definitely make certain moves this year. The alignments and realignments will begin in 2025 because 2026 is going to be the year the campaigns kickstart and all of that. So you expect that some of the formulations and the positioning will happen this year. Give me a sense of what the likely combinations might be. We've heard about Peter Obi and Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. We've heard about Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar perhaps rekindling their old arrangement in 2019. I mean, given the numbers that they both amassed individually in 2023, put together, they stand a chance against Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But, you know, clearly, Nigerians on the opposition side want to see all these three come together. But we know all three cannot be on the ballot. A lot of people have also said maybe Atiku needs to revisit the idea of not taking part in the elections and perhaps pushing Rabi Musa Kwankwaso and Peter Obi on the ballot. What do you think, you know, of the configuration of the various ideas that have been, you know, put out there?
No, I think in the first place, Atiku has more political clout than Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso is just a Kano phenomenon. And even Kano now, I don't know, after having been in office for some time, they have done a lot of demolition, they have done so many things. I don't know whether their rating is still there. So maybe you talk about Atiku and Peter Obi. And
doesn't the age thing count against him?
If you look at the election results in 2023, I argue that it is Peter Obi who failed Atiku. Because all the votes Atiku was supposed to get in Southeast have all been cornered by Peter Obi. And so, and cut him down. So although Tinubu did not get overwhelming majority, he he has been able to defeat them.
Crossed the line. Yeah. So I mean, the age thing. I was alluding to the age thing. Age is not on Atiku's side, and for Nigerians, especially the younger demographic, they think that should count for something. What do you think?
Well, age is important, but I don't think it is the most important thing. We see people in their 80s contesting elections and winning in other parts of the world. I don't think Nigeria will be exceptional as far as this is concerned. I think what is important, and I emphasize this, is the quality of the opposition and the quality of the programs that they have or they are going to produce in order to convince the people that they will be different from this government. If not, it won't be a reality.
So let's juxtapose what we have right now with what we used to have in the First Republic, in the Second Republic, for instance. What do you make of the quality of our political culture? Is it declining? Is it, reshaping itself? What do you make of it?
I think the quality has dropped dramatically because in the First Republic, the main challenge we had is this regionalism, which divided us as Nigerians and which destabilized the Nigerian politics. But the politicians were of high quality, high rate. The politicians we had in the north here, they were, what do you call it, even like people like Sardauna, they were not money mongers, stealing money and so on and so forth. There is no telephone there. He said, what? And then they said he does not have a house in Sokoto. So it was Abacha who actually got a house built for him in Sokoto. He never had one. I interviewed him when we were writing history of Abuja. He told me that he did not have a plot in Abuja. And he was the one who under his tenure, they put the infrastructure, the power, water, roads, and some housing in Abuja. But he gets surprised. He never had a plot. So he told me when he came one day, the Pamsek Abakar Koko visited him and asked him, have you come to inspect your house? He said, house? He said, no, I don't even have a plot here. So the following day, Abakar Koko went and told Gadonasco, the minister, that they need to give Shagari a plot. And this is how he got a plot. And so he got a plot. He didn't have money to build. It was Obasanjo who was trying to organize the building of the house. I don't know whether the house has been completed or not. So it tells you of the quality of the people who provide the leadership. You can call them conservative. You can call them anything. But one thing you cannot call them thieves. Well,
that's what the military did. The military called them corrupt. But anyway, it's a subject of yet another debate.
This is when Abacha was told Shagari didn't have a house in Sokoto. I said, he put his son on, he said, I was the one who read the statement and said they are corrupt.
Right, exactly. The irony of that reality. So talk to me about, we're talking about political alliances and mergers and things like that. And as we did say in the preamble, this is not new, for instance. Before the 1959 elections, most of the political parties also had to make some of those mergers. I remember the NCNC, for instance, how it came together and all of these things. Talk to me about what were the issues then when political parties or political movements were considering coming together to get into power, and what is happening now? Because there seems to be a disconnect between the idea behind the mergers and why people are actually coming together to win power.
You see, in the First Republic, the parties worked on their own. They didn't form alliances before the election. They formed alliances after the election and joined the MPC. And that will give MPC a big boost. And if it's able to mobilize the small parties, they would have formed a government on their own. So, like Okpara said, the MPC-NCNC alliance was not a voluntary issue. It was mandatory for the survival of the NCNC. But even that alliance didn't last. It lasted only 2 years. By 1962, it had broken down and they were fighting each other. And
Right. And how is APC different then? Because a lot of the conversation has been that APC was built against the backdrop that Buhari's integrity or perceived integrity was going to keep the party together. I mean, they still have power, so I suppose it explains why they still exist as a dominant political force. But what do you make of the merger that is APC before 2015 and after 2015, where we are right now? And going forward, do you think this is a merger that is still going to hold?
Yes, I wasn't thinking in my mind that the APC was going to survive and all these problems. But they have proved me wrong, and they have been able to survive. I think partly because the political leaders have been together. See, we don't have the experience the PDP faced in 2015 when governors bolted out of the party. So we don't have, for now, one governor bolting out of the party. So there is greater cohesion of the top hierarchy of the party, whatever their differences. And I think this has helped the APC to survive up to now.
Okay, let's open up the conversation to our viewers who I believe, especially if they're politically inclined, would be itching to say something about this particular conversation. Feel free to join the conversation. A quick reminder, rules of engagement. Please, while calling in, ensure that you turn down the volume of your TV set and try as much as you can to articulate your thoughts in less than 2 minutes so that we can take as many views and contributions on the program. The number is showing on your TV screen. Feel free to be a part of this conversation. Now, we're well familiar with the saying that history has a way of repeating itself, right? And we see the kind of unprecedented pressure Nigerians have been exposed to because of the current state of the economy. And you talked about how the deciding factor in 2027 will be whether the Tinubu administration fixes the economy or not, because that is what Nigerians will use to, decide who they're going to vote for. But before we get to the question, let's bring in our first caller into the conversation. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Abdullahi Ahmed.
Welcome to the program. Is this Shamaki?
Yeah, Shamaki from Nasarawa State.
Shamaki, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, sir, in the studio. Yeah, you see, opposition must come to play as far as democracy is concerned in Nigeria. We need to see where election will be conducted and anyone that won, which party is that, the money will be given to him. But nowadays, democracy that is coming to play in Nigeria, we are all being confused. So if any opposition want to prove their capacity, they must come together and do as one umbrella. Forget about irrespective of whether religion or tribalism. Let them come together and unite and forge ahead if really they want to change this government. Otherwise, I don't think whether they can be able to change them.
Right. Okay. Good point there to be made, Shamaki, and I think that is what we've been harping on regarding this particular alliance. For the most part, Prof, people think it's just a numbers game. You do the maths, Atiku got X amount of votes, Peter Obi got X amount of votes, Rabi Musa got X amount of votes. If they consolidate on that, automatically, if they work together as a trio, they win the next election. Is it just simple maths?
Well, maybe. I'm still worried you are discounting their political parties. You see, you need to understand that political parties are the key instruments of taking part in the election. You can change party, but do you change ideas?
Right.
And I think...
Does it really matter to Nigerians, you think?
Well, it will have to matter now, especially in the current dispensation,
Right.
where the economic situation is really very biting. It's biting very hard
Right.
on literally everyone you can imagine. The upper middle class has collapsed, the middle class, the upper middle class maybe has become lower middle class, the
Right.
lower middle class has collapsed, and so on and so forth.
It's quite a dire situation, to say the least. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the program. Who is on the line and where are you calling from?
Abdullahi, I'm compliment of the season.
Happy New Year to you.
I'm complimenting. I'm Ruben from Adamawa State.
Ruben, where are you calling from?
Are you hearing me, Abdullahi?
Yes, I can hear you, Ruben. Yeah, I can hear you, Ruben.
I'm calling you from Adamawa State, Delta local government.
Right, Ruben, it's good to hear from you. Go ahead, please.
Good. I think what you are saying, what the professor is saying is right. Because you see, I'm hearing you now very well. I said, what the professor is saying,
Yeah.
the training of Atiku Abubakar is would give.
My goodness, Ruben, I apologize for this, but we're losing the connection and we're unable to hear you clearly. Perhaps give it another try again, and let's see if it works out. The number is still there, Ruben. If you want to try again, feel free to call back. I suppose you wanted to, double down on a point that you were making. I believe we have another caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the program. Who is on the line?
It's Mr. Fada from MCT.
Come again. Please turn down the volume of your TV set and come again.
Okay, good evening, sir. I'm Abdullahi. I'm from Fada from MCT, from Buhari local government.
From Buhari?
Yes, local government.
Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I like the program. We have to thank God what the professor is saying is true.
Right.
You see, in politics, you have to set your own agenda that will make people to confuse them. So that they can get their vote. You see, in 2015 and 2023 election, you see, what the alliance of the Labour Party and the PDP, when Peter Obi left PDP to Labour Party, you see that the genesis of the PDP, that's what made PDP not to win 2023 election. And if you want to confuse people now, let them come together and say their program that this is what we are going to do. And get the mind of the people.
Right. Right.
Yes. Without it, if they do not come together and form alliance now, it will be a problem to them because APC now, they have most of their state, they have governors. And this is the governor that won election in their state now.
Right.
So let them come together so that they will mind well. They should forget about ethnic group. What we are saying that is good governors.
Right.
Yes, so
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution on this one. Appreciate you for joining the conversation. It's safe to say that Nigerians are quite excited about the possibility of an alliance between all three of them, or at least two of them. But we're also discounting the APC in the conversation. Do you think the APC also has a chance to work with any of the three, for instance? I mean, I suppose working with PDP and Labour Party is out of the question, but is Rabi Musa Kwankwaso up for grabs for the APC in trying to consolidate their power? Or does the APC just sit and watch them play this out?
I think the problem about Rabi Musa Kwankwaso has to do also with his former deputy, who is Nganduje, who is now the chairman of APC, and they are both struggling to control Kano. So the chances of APC working with Rabi Musa Konkoso, in my opinion, is marginal. It's marginal, and because of their contest over control of Kano.
Yeah. And do you see anything out there for the APC to grab, to consolidate on, to become bigger, or do they just need to stay put and prepare for the election?
Well, in my opinion, the election will be determined by the economy. And so
not politics, none of that.
Not too much as politics, because people are suffering. So there's nothing you can go and tell people now, what do you call it, and get their mind. You even see this, a lot of these comedies ridiculing the economy. And I think it is important the government realizes that the economic situation is in a bad shape.
So if the Tinubu administration solves the economic quagmire, solves this equation, brings inflation down to 15%, affordable energy, and food inflation is down significantly, you think it doesn't have to worry about the alliance?
No, he may worry, but his chances will grow. But if he is not able to reduce the cost of foodstuff, reduce the fuel, reduce electricity, no, I don't think people will listen to him. I think he and his advisor need to understand this. The economy is not favorable to the ordinary people, not even ordinary people, even to the former middle class, and that this one has to be faced. And so many people have pointed out that they are implementing IMF agenda, and IMF has not helped any country to recover from its economy.
Right.
Yes.
And that is one of those points that have been made over and over again. Let's speak to our next caller. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Yeah, good evening. Please turn down the volume of your TV set. Who is on the line and where are you calling from? Right, it is. Hello, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, who is on the line and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Gombe State.
Your name?
I'm calling from Gombe State.
Yeah, I get it, from Gombe State. Who is on the line?
Yes, my name is Odo John. I'm calling from Gombe State.
Odo John, go ahead, please.
And I'm so happy to see my lecturer on air.
Right.
The renowned professor. I was following the conversation. What really stood out for me was when he mentioned the fact that the politicians of the First Republic and Second Republic, they were not, they were any other thing, but not, they were not pandemonium. So my big worry is that at what point did we lose it? That now our leaders will not put the country first, but rather their personal interest, that they squander so much money that they won't use for many generations. Right. You know, it got me worried and also thinking. That's my major concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Udo, for joining the conversation. One of your students calling in to make a contribution, but he also made a point about what you said earlier about the perceived integrity of politicians in time past and the current crop of politicians that we do have now. And there seems to be a correlation between what is happening with the economy right now, where the political figures in power are telling Nigerians to sacrifice, right? But we see billions of naira going into their furniture, going into their upkeep, going into spending on vehicles and things like that, while the people they lead are living hand to mouth, for instance. And he's asking, when did this shift happen, when politicians no longer care about service delivery and, you know, apparently looking into self-aggrandizement?
Well, I think in the first place, after the Second Republic, there is a discontinuation of the political class. You know, the Second Republic is made up of the First Republic politicians. After that, they have aged, they have died. And then we had an interregnum of military rule over a long period of time. And this has made sure that the old politicians no longer exist. Then when politics started, then there has been no political party based on any ideology. You know, if you remember, President Babangida tried to form NRC and SDP, one to the little bit to the right, one a little bit to the left.
Right.
But it didn't work. And the politicians that came up did not go through training. You know, you belong to a political party. And the political party used to hold a series of meetings. And you learn from that. You learn from your colleagues. You learn from people doing the administration. But all this disappeared under the interregnum of the military rule. So when, what do you call it, 1999 came, it's just the new people, no political background, and they were just there.
So we're starting it all over again.
And the parties had no ideology. You cannot say this is the difference between APC and PDP or Labour Party. I was even thinking Labour Party, which was created by the Labour NLC people, who represent the interests of the working people. The Labour Party is no different from the PDP or APC. So we really don't have parties that stand for something different from the others. They all stand for the same thing.
As we wrap things up, what do you think people, political enthusiasts, supporters and followers of all of these political figures that we're talking about and these political parties need to look out for, especially this year? And what is your advice to Nigerians in terms of how to discern the political rhetorics and the pandering that we're likely going to see based on what's happening in the country right now, how politicians are going to use what is happening right now to sell them heaven on earth, to win their hearts and minds, but more importantly, their votes? What should Nigerians expect this year in terms of the political rhetoric that is going to shape the polity?
Well, this year it is going to build up. It is next year that is going to be the year of politics. But, you know, things start from now. How it takes shape and how it works is very much influenced by the conduct of the politicians and the quality of the people they are bringing out and the quality of ideas they are generating. What is it that they have about power, about petroleum products, about this devaluation? You need to have very concrete ideas so that when we vote for you, we know this is what you said you are going to do. Right. And if you fail, we can hold you accountable. But we have a problem when we do not vote for people over any promise. You know, Buhari came, he said, the economy, this and that, very vague. There was nothing. You can't hold him over anything. And we now need people to be more precise. Don't tell me you're just worried about the economy.
Okay. All right. Professor Alkasum Abba, thank you so much for joining us on the program. I appreciate you for your expert analysis. And I suppose the next couple of weeks will be very telling about what Nigerians can expect, or a couple of months would expect in the years to come. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much.
And that is it for our show tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Daily Politics will be back next week, live and exclusive, as always, on Trust TV. Until next time, my name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for joining us.